Well, I'm joined now by two people who witnessed the crash. Michael Eamons was outside the Clutha and saw the moment of impact, and Alina Coop was actually inside the pub with her husband Gary as the crash happened. Thank you both so much for coming out and talking to us tonight, because you both must both still be in shock, really. I mean, Alina, what happened?
We were sitting enjoying the band, and everyone was bouncing up and down, enjoying the music, and we thought that because of the bouncing up and down that the gantry on the bar had came down, but as it turned out it was actually the roof. And everyone, it was a whooshing noise, and everyone seemed to go up and then come straight back down again. And then we thought something seriously wrong here, and we said to the band, listen, you need to stop playing. And the guy in the band thought they'd brought the house down. And then this guy came towards us, and he just looked grey, he was covered in dust, and the next thing, within 5 seconds, this thick choking dust just engulfed everybody, and you couldn't see, you couldn't breathe within the pub.
So this was actually in the bar, it wasn't some back room or something?
No, it was in the bar itself.
And you had no idea what was going on at that stage?
No, nothing at all. Just we knew that there was something seriously wrong had gone on.
Michael, you were outside. What did you see?
Well, we have an office in the Brigade building next door, so I was just on the corner of the street and I saw something hit the roof. I couldn't make out what it was, but it hit it with such an impact. It was so loud that I really couldn't get a handle on what it actually was. So I rushed into the Brigade, phoned the cops and came back out again. By the time I was back out, all the emergency services were there.
Very quickly?
Yeah, very, very quickly. I mean, instantaneously, it's almost like they knew it was going to happen almost, because they was just on the balls and they were so quick and so efficient. And I asked them, is there anything else I can do? Because I'd phoned the police, but also I'd asked them what actually caused it. And I think even they were shocked and full of disbelief about the fact it was a helicopter. They couldn't quite believe it themselves,
So, Alina, you're inside the pub now and commotion has broken out. What happens next?
It wasn't really a commotion. It was actually, everybody was quite calm. But they were kind of starting to panic because they couldn't find the exits, because nobody could see and nobody could breathe. And I just pulled my dress up over my nose just so I could breathe better. And I said to everybody, hold on to each other and we'll make a line. And I always carry a torch with me, and I took my torch out and it was really bright. I said, follow the light towards the door, and there was I think it was about a dozen people came along in this little train to get out the door, you know what I mean? So we're going out, and they all managed to get out safely.
This is amazing presence of mind. I mean, where does it come from?
I just always carry a torch with me. It's just my thing, that's all, and people laugh at me for it, but again, it's just one of these things, if you need to see you've got a torch. I know people are going to be laughing at this, but and then we got outside and my husband was there, and he went over to the other door to help start pulling people out, and I was on the phone to the emergency service. We need multiple ambulances, multiple fire crews, and an ambulance came up at that point, but I think the first paramedic came out was just so overwhelmed by what was in front of him, because it was just scenes of devastation. There was people walking wounded, bleeding, and just, you didn't know what had happened. And people were saying a helicopter, but you couldn't smell fuel, and I know they have protected fuel tanks, so I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not. I mean, it's maybe just something else. And I said to the paramedic, give me gloves, give me swabs and things, and I'll help you do triage and kind of look after people. And I was putting gauze bandages onto people and saying okay, you need to sit down here, do this. And my husband and his friend brought a guy out, his name was Norman, who was unconscious, and they laid him in the path, but then they moved him round I said, you need to move him around to the side because he's in the way. And I was dealing with him, and eventually he came to, and his leg was badly broken. But I turned at one point and I looked, and everybody else seemed to have been moved back, and they were behind a cordon. And then I looked again and there was nobody there, and there was myself and there was a girl who was a nurse who'd been into the pub at seeing the band as well. She was there helping out as well, and we were kind of there ourselves, and it was just bizarre to look around and there was nobody there apart from professionals.
And did you have a strong sense at that stage that people had lost their lives?
I knew it wasn't going to be good at that point because it was just so serious looking. Do you know what I mean? The building was down, and obviously the helicopter was on top of the roof, and the way the firemen were breaking the window to get in, and at that point then they actually brought someone out and laid him on the ground next to me, and I knew the man was dead. As I say, the fire crews were really so professional. They looked after this man's body and then took him away, do you know what I mean, to a safe and quiet place, because then they had to go back in to try and bring somebody else out. And my condolences go to everybody who's lost their family members and friends within that pub today.
Michael, you were outside watching all of this. I mean, what could you see?
I saw a lot of people with different varying injuries. Some people were up and walking about. They'd had obviously got dust on them. They were wearing the sort of, the tinfoil blankets, etc., to keep them warm. Other people were on the ground with bloodied heads, just exactly as the lady's saying. But there was a kind of calmness. There was a sense that we can cope with this, we can deal with this. Yeah. People were in distress, but they weren't hysterical. They were dealing with it, and it was in a way, it showed how strong the community was, because everybody was helping out. And it's a testament to the people of Glasgow, I think, really, ultimately.
And that's what I said. I mean, we were all heroes down there last night, because we were bringing people out and we were looking after each other, which is what you do in a community, isn't it?
You don't wait for somebody to come and help you?
No. And then once we were kind of did our bit, the professionals stepped in and did it the right way for everybody, and obviously they're still doing their job just now, and they're doing a marvellous job. And the Holiday Inn Express were superb, because they brought everybody in and made a crisis centre, so everybody had somewhere to go and somewhere it was warm, and they gave out hot drinks and water and made sure that everybody was safe.
And Michael, I mean, watching this on television, it's quite easy to not quite understand where this is. I mean, we're right in the heart of new regenerated Glasgow.
Argyle Street's just up there, and one of the main streets in Glasgow. So you're slap bang in the centre of Glasgow. There's lots of restaurants, pubs, cafes, all in this area. So it is central Glasgow. George Square was just probably half a mile in that direction, the middle of Glasgow. So it's so central. This isn't out in the region at all. This is slap bang in the middle of the city.
I mean, obviously, you haven't had time to process this.
No.
But we're in the midst of digesting some terrible news they've just released in the last couple of hours. That it's 8 people who died, right, which is more than anybody thought.
No, that's right.
But I mean, you must feel, you've come out of this unscathed, and you were right there.
Well, my husband and I, when we first went into the pub, we actually sat on the left-hand side at the window where all the firemen were bringing the bodies out, and it was one of these ones where my husband's the coldest person in the world, so they said, can we go and sit beside the fire, which is on the right-hand side of the building, and we moved over there, or we would have been sitting there. So it's like, I don't know, somebody upstairs was watching for us last night.
Alina, Michael, thank you both very much indeed for joining us tonight.